Chad Prather rose to internet fandom as the man who's unapologetically Southern.
Heath Oaks is a published author who failed his way to success.
Together, they tackle today's headlines in a way only a Southern Spitfire and a millennial mogul can.
Take off your sport coat, grab a beer, and enjoy the conversation.
This is Second Shot with Chad Prather and Heath Oaks.
Man, I just want to slap somebody today. I don't know why.
Oh, wow.
I do know why.
That's so nice.
Social media, man.
You're so
Social
nice.
media, people just want to drive you crazy. But I'm happy. I'll slap them happy.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem
Slap
with
some
that.
sense into them?
This is a room full of people, so don't worry about it. I'm not going to slap anybody.
We finally
Everybody's
have
good.
producer Kristen back.
Yeah.
Great.
Back.
I know our listeners are great to you. Producer Zach here, as always. He hasn't gone anywhere, and
Yeah.
Kristen's the only one that left us for a long time, and
Yeah.
we've both been going through our baby blues.
You know, I used to
Be
think
back.
that Kristen was radiating, just glowing because she was pregnant, but she just does that naturally.
I'm just beautiful.
Look at her. Look at her.
Yeah.
I love it. What is it? I'm glad to have you back. And, of course, Zach hadn't gone anywhere.
That's right. I've been here the whole time. I think I've been on every episode of Second Shot. I don't think I've missed a single one.
I think you've been here.
Regular
and
alma mater.
We can't even say that. Heath and I can't even say
Right,
that.
yeah.
Kristen, can you put into words the amount of change that happens when you
Well,
have a baby?
I mean, you can probably.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's everything changes. Your life has to adapt, and you just have to move swiftly to adapt with it.
Yep.
Well, I can tell you one thing that happened. Heath had to go blow off some steam, and so he came to Fort Worth the other night
I did. That was
Oh,
nice.
really?
Yeah.
and found a dude by the name of Chad, me, and we got
had
out
a
of
time.
control,
Night.
son.
We had a good time.
We got
went
out
out
of control.
Had some good steak at Capitol Grill in Fort Worth. And
Nice.
Went kind of a little bar hopping. Had
We
a
did.
good time.
Yeah.
and
Have you been out of the house? I mean, like, obviously you're out for work, but have you been out beyond?
No, not at all.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Not
So
at all.
that was it.
Jenny was very happy for me. She was like, I'm glad you're getting out to go. Because it was like, if I did have a second, like, I loved just laying there in peace and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, I'm glad you're getting out to go get out and kind of just do something.
Yeah.
All this week, I've been receiving pictures on social media from strangers saying, "Was this you guys? We didn't realize who we were with."
That's funny.
And people taking pictures with us in the crowd. So yeah, it was a good night. Good night. What's going on in the world?
Well, this one I figured would be a perfect headline. Just for everybody who's new to the show is what we do is we take headlines, and we don't necessarily get into the meat of the headline as much as we want to. We get headlines that kind of relate to us about our business or personal life, and what we do is try to come up with ways to help you in your business and or personal life along the way with some of it. And so one of the biggest headlines that kind of comes out is the British Open 2017. Jordan Spieth comes up huge just at the right time
Yeah.
to win the British Open. And kind of what, for those of you living under a rock and have no idea who Jordan Spieth is or things, is that he's a professional golfer from Dallas, Texas here. And look, he had a 3-stroke lead going into the last day, and then right off the first 4 holes, he blows the lead and was just playing kind of rough all day long. And he was getting beat. It comes down to about 5 holes left or so, and he has literally one of the worst golf holes
Terrible.
known in golf in general.
man.
It was extremely horrible. Like, they couldn't almost find his ball. He had no shot. He had no shot. It was extremely bad. Like, it was one of those that when things go from bad to worse, it happens. And obviously everybody knows in golf that the mental aspect of it is what's so huge. And then he kind of gets haunted again because he blew the lead several years back in the Masters. And they all say that that's never, left him. But however, he's been known to overcome the bad things as well. And what he ended up doing was with 4 holes left, he would have to do what has never been done in golf. And he ended up doing it to win the British Open. And, it was one of those that everybody in golf will tell you that the last day of the British Open will go down in history as one of the best golf rounds to ever watch, ever. And he come back and did it. So I know you probably watched a little bit of that as well, Chad, but what do you take from that headline?
Well, yeah, he did the impossible. I've seen a couple of golfers who have done a few things. It was almost like it was their destiny moment in order to win that. I look at people and I in my own life, and I've been against insurmountable odds where all of a sudden you think, hey, everything looks really, really good, and then all of a sudden the wheels come off. That is what happens in life, unfortunately. Those are the unexpected surprises. What do you do with those things? Because, I mean, in Spieth's case, they didn't even know what to do next.
Yeah.
You know,
because it was so uncommon.
It wasn't about the next holes that he went off and pulled a miraculous, but he found himself in a situation where they didn't even know what to do next. What do you do when you get in that situation and you don't know the next step? You're trying to decide, because it looks like no matter where you go from there, it can end in failure. And I was talking to somebody last night, as a matter of fact, who's in a similar situation, and I was helping them navigate through it. And here's what I said. I said, okay, you can stay where you are and nothing happens, or you can make a move, and even though what happens next may even affect you negatively, you still got to move. You can't stay where you are. You got to keep moving, because even though that you might hit a few more bumps along the way, but you got to get over that. And look what happened with him. He made a decision, he hit his next shot, went on to the next holes, and he made up for the negativity with the next things that he did.
It is quintessentially failing your way to success.
It's failing your way to success.
It is, absolutely. Plug for the Ignorance on Fire, my book.
But how many people have these circumstances? Oh, but you don't know my circumstances.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
You know what I love more than anything about that kind of stuff is that's what I looked at more than anything, because we talk a lot about moving, and we've talked, making your moves and your choices. But you know what? I hope we're anything. I love it when people think that they're the only one that bad things happen to. Look at him. Everything was going wrong for him. Everything that says you will fail and you will blow another massive lead. Your Masters, everybody's saying, he's never been able to rebound since that Masters loss.
Mm-hmm.
It was piling up to sky high, and he said, nope, I'm going to show you. And he did it. And I think anything that you realize, if you're out there, whenever you have those times that you think you're one of the ones that always happens bad to you, it doesn't. Spieth was a living proof of seeing on that golf course that, yes, you may say and think that what that has, maybe you have something personally that you think is worse. It's not a golf game. But you got to understand, that's his livelihood. And if he blows that, there have been golfers that have blown something like that that never rebounded, lost their contracts, and never played again. And that was extremely personally a bad thing for them. So looking at it, it happens to everybody. Some make a choice to go, I'm going to just have to backtrack this shot some and kind of go back and take it over and take my licks when I can, but I'm going to keep moving forward.
Well, first of all, he knew, okay, let's I don't know what was going on in his head, but let's look at it like this. He knew that was not the last golf tournament or even the last golf hole in that tournament that he would ever play.
Yep.
So he was able to look, and that's where people I think they get stuck. They say, this is it. I can't rebound from this. This just ended my life. This catharsis, this crisis, whatever. That's it. My life is over.
Yep.
You see your teenager say, my life's over. Well, obviously, it's not over. You have to be able to see the next hole, the next game, the next challenge, the next business, the next opportunity. And when you can focus on those things, I tell this funny story about this guy. I was fishing one time, and this guy, he put on the big inner tube thing around his waist, and he was up on top of the hill walking down towards the lake, and he was in a real big hurry, and he was so focused on where he was looking right when he took that first step. He was kind of hindered with that big inner tube thing, that he started running down the hill. He lost sight of where he was going. He didn't look at that there was a big hill in front of him. So he's running down towards the lake, and he hits the water, and he flips upside down, and now there's these two rubber legs just bouncing up in the air, and he can't get himself out of this thing. We went over, and we had to help him up and all this. And I look at that, and I'm like, here's a guy who in the course of going and doing something that he thought was going to be fun, you look at it and say, well, it's just a golf game. Okay, but then now your life's turned upside down because you didn't look far enough in front of you to see that there's a path you need to take that will get you to a point of success and all of those things.
And it's all about seeing those things. I guarantee you in his mind it is. Whenever you have those times that happen, you have to find things that are challenging you. Yeah. The best way to stay positive, the best way to stay motivated is to find things that challenge you. If you go home every night and all you do is watch Netflix all night long and sit on your couch, eat bonbons, and have pity parties about yourself, okay? Pity potty, I said that like
pity
I'm
potty.
Pity
about
potty
yourself,
then that's all what's going to happen. But you know what? If you focus on trying to do things to challenge and grow you, when you are growing, learning, and challenging, you will feel better. You will be more upbeat. That's why I learned to be a pilot. I was bored in my life. I realized that outside of work and my wife, I had nothing else holding on to at that moment, and I was getting bored, and it was spilling over to being bored in my other arenas.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to become a pilot. And when I did, I started growing and learning in all areas because something about it sparked my mind with it. So I challenge you to, if you're in the rut, look beyond that one golf hole. So look beyond where you're at and say, what can I do to challenge myself to learn?
Yeah.
Whether it's picking up knitting, whether it's you've always wanted to play a piano, play a guitar, do something to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
It'll get you out of the funk.
Hey, and look at Spieth. Worst case scenario, he comes in second in the British Open. How many people can say that?
Oh, yeah. Well,
So in
he
the
came
bigger
in
picture?
first, and how many millions did he win?
Exactly. So look at the big picture. All right, we got to take a break. There's so many things we could say about the legendary, soon-to-be legendary Jordan Spieth. He's a good dude. All right, hang on. Second segment, second shot. Be right back.
He likes cowboy hats and boots.
And he's a suit and tie kind of guy. Chad Prather and Heath Oaks host more of Second Shot coming up on RNCN.
Ready, aim, fire. Second Shot is back for another round on the Real News Communications Network.
Put the gasoline in the Bronco and get it ready because the juice is loose.
Listen, how funny would it be with Ford when they released the new Bronco? Have you seen the concepts for the new Bronco? If they released the new Bronco and had OJ do the commercial for the Bronco, like how awesome would that be? Would that not be? That would be a great marketing because you know how much that would be shared.
I'm gonna think no.
Like when you buy it, the window comes with an OJ applique that you can put
without a
and
doubt.
use it in
That
the
would be
carpool lane.
fantastic.
You can put Al Cowlings in right there in the front window and OJ in the
They
back.
should have an OJ edition Bronco.
Yeah, the Simpson edition. I
That's
love
like
it.
really fast and gets
Simpson
away.
edition. Wow. Wow. Nothing sacred within this
No.
place.
I think OJ's one of those that's at 100% fair game to really make fun. I think almost all cultures and all people are okay with like ragging on OJ.
So gosh, it's tough. I mean, you're right. I agree with you on that. Because I don't care.
I think it's one of the very few
because I don't care.
that are
Like I heard a lecture from Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz, who is 100%. He was one of OJ's attorneys, and he said about the murder trial. He said, look, he did it 100%. He did it, but there was splatter evidence and stuff that was placed by the police, and we couldn't allow that evidence to stand. Therefore, I justified getting him off on the basis of there was bad evidence because the law doesn't have emotion. And so I went by the letter of the law, and we got him off. And so on the basis of the letter of the law, not emotion, we got him off. But he said there's no question he committed the murder. Now, all of that being said, he didn't go to jail this time for murder. He went to jail for armed robbery and kidnapping. And after 9 years, he has now been paroled, and he is, in October, going to be a free man.
Read the headline.
Right. The headline is OJ Simpson granted parole, quote, "I've done my time."
Yeah.
Here's the question I've got looking at this is when do you how do you decide a punishment that fits the crime? And when is it okay to give somebody a second or a third chance? How do you decide if somebody does something wrong that, all right, this is the proper punishment for this thing, and then once they get to the end of that, is it time to say, all right, well, you've done your time, here you are, or is it okay? Maybe we should step back and reevaluate this. Was this
Zach? When you ask a question, what is proper punishment? Give me an example in a personal aspect, because obviously, because I'm not a judge or anything to do like a legal stuff. So, what are you referring to with that? Like in a personal, like if somebody does you wrong or in personally or something?
Well, here's the thing. I had a conversation when OJ got paroled with somebody who said, well, he did his time for the crime he had. I'm like, right. And I'm an unbiased, I should say I'm a biased guy in the way that if I was one of those people in the Nevada parole board, I would have said, well, no, of course you can't let him go. Come on. Like, this is our chance to keep this guy locked up for good. But he did his time for the crime he had, and therefore they let him go. It was a unanimous decision. So, how do you step back and look at it from a non-biased perspective and say, well, they did their time. They served their sentence.
You know the best thing that I always do with all that is I don't care about it. I don't about any of that. And you know what? And it goes back to a lot of people get hung up in the personal lives when somebody does them wrong in some way. They get ate up with something needs to happen to them, and I need to make some clear and all that. Look, God is the only judge in my life at the end of the day when it comes there. I don't get involved in the judging world because all that does is make me miserable. I don't judge people by their actions, their thoughts, and what they do. It's not up to me. I don't wish bad on any people, even people that have done me wrong. I believe that when I got that aspect of my life down, where I literally do not judge people, and that how much judging can ruin and run your life in so many ways of thinking this person is that. When you really get that escaped out of your mind, things get so much better for you. When you don't care or worry about other people's, because again, it goes back, what goes around comes around. OJ may not have got back then, but then he's an idiot and gets done for something really stupid of stealing his own stuff that's even more of a mockery and a joke, what he got caught on. And I think that we too many times in today's world spend a lot of our brain power on judging other people and their actions and what they do, and all it does is run our life. Like, it's just crazy to me. And when I got out of the judging game, my life got significantly better.
It's liberating. But let's go, on that headline, he says, I've done my time. At what point in time, and there are people who are listening out there who have done things in their life that they regret, that they feel guilty for, their conscience is tormenting them. At what point in time do you say to yourself, I'm now going to pardon and parole myself from the things that I did in the past that were wrong? I've done my time. You've suffered enough from it. Now let yourself go and move on with life, because, face it, OJ's going to get out, and if it's going to be anyway the way it was when the trial was over for the murder trial, he's going to go have a party. He's going to go live his life.
He's paroled for the next 9 years, and he's bound to the house and everything. I mean, he's still going to be in change. I mean, he's never going to be able to make what he used to.
Yeah. But he's going to celebrate that. I mean, ultimately, he's going to celebrate being out of prison. So at what point in time do you say to yourself, I'm going to let this go? Mm-hmm. I have some major things that have happened in my life, and things that I wish I could go back in time and do over again. And sometimes that guilt wants to creep up on me, because it's like, dang, you really messed up on this. And there's still consequences to it. I'm still feeling the consequences.
But you know why, though? If you think about it, you know why those thoughts creep in our heads? Is because we're judging other people based on things they did or didn't do. Mm-hmm. We're judging somebody that is something happened to them and they've moved on from that, and we're judging that they obviously don't care enough because they're not doing this and that. And when you have it, the reason that creeps into your mind is because you're judging others on it. So if you stop judging other people, then you free yourself from judgment, knowing that whoever it is going to judge you ultimately at one point or another. I mean, I think that's really one of the keys is not worrying about whether what punishment for OJ was long enough or not. You can live and harness it all, or you can let it go.
Well, and I thought Chad brought up an interesting point earlier. He was talking about the lawyer who worked on the trial, and he said he removed himself and just looked at it strictly from a law perspective and not a feelings perspective. And I actually had a conversation with some coworkers this week about the same thing. They were working with a client, and they weren't particularly having a great relationship with that client. And so that was affecting how they were delivering their work. And I said, you have to remove yourself from that completely. Yeah. Like, you cannot allow yourself to have an emotional reaction and that affect your work. What ultimately you should be concerned about is, at the end of the day, what's the quality of work you're delivering, and do you feel good about that? Because that's the impression that you're going to leave behind is what you're putting out.
Good example. Sure. I mean, I told you guys, I think in a recent podcast, about the guy that recently wrote my professional bio. He doesn't like me, but he delivered a pretty good bio. He was able to remove himself from how he feels about me because we disagree.
I don't blame him for not liking me.
I mean, I don't blame him for not liking me either. I mean, I told the guys so much. I said, dude, get on board. Yeah. I mean, half the time I'm not a fan. So, but he delivered it. He did his work and he did his whole thing. He was able to remove it. And through the whole process, guess what? He sort of decided that he might like me a little bit, but I don't care. I'm with you on that. I don't judge. Now, if you affect me, if you do something that affects me, affects my family, affects my livelihood, whatever, threatens me in some kind of way, okay, well, yeah, then I'm going to take a look at your actions and say, but
I may not want to be around that person. Right, yeah. I'm not saying that you don't have to decide to go eat dinner and have parties with them. Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying that there's a lot of people I could care less to be around, and I won't make a choice to be around them, but I don't judge them. I just decided that I want to remove myself from them.
I get accused of that all the time. Oh, you're so judgmental. No, I have an opinion about things, and I debate things, but that doesn't mean I'm judging the human. Yeah. I can disagree with guys and folks and have a debate or discussion or something like that. I do that all the time. I mean, I am a political commentator. They pay me to have debates.
Yeah.
So I have to do this thing, but I don't. Just because you have a differing opinion doesn't mean I'm judging you.
Absolutely.
I don't have the energy for that.
At the end of the day, we're all human. We're
Yeah.
all going to have an emotional reaction. But if you can identify how to remove yourself from it and identify that, hey, I do have that reaction, and then separate the two between your work and your personal life, that's going to have the most positive effect.
Yeah, but then it's also, anytime you have feelings personally, you a lot of times are the one that's how you are judging or doing it with others. And so taking that and changing yourself, you'll end up changing your outlook with others as well.
I've missed Kristen.
I missed you guys.
I'm
so
happy
good to be
she's
back.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break. That's a good subject. The juice is loose. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back to the final and third segment of Second Shot. Hang on.
Now that's what I call ignorance on fire. More of Second Shot with Chad and Heath still to come. Kick off your boots or suit up. The choice is yours. Welcome back to Second Shot with Chad and Heath on RNCN.
I always feel like I don't dress good enough for Zach when I listen to these intros back into the show. You know?
Gotcha.
Hey, you can wear your underwear and a T-shirt, or you can put on a custom suit like Heath.
Well, yeah.
Whichever, the choice is yours.
Basically, it's true. Basically, it's a great assessment.
Yeah, I feel underdressed every time we do the show because of Heath. Every time he comes in, he shows me up.
I know.
Well, that I can tell you what, I would much rather be in what you got on. When I'm not working, that's what I'm in.
Well, I
don't wear the cowboy hat. The cowboy hat isn't me. I look really dumb in a cowboy hat.
Nah, you
Maybe
guys
you
really
found the
do.
right hat. It's all about the fit, right?
look how good your hair is, though.
Yeah, yeah. When you got hair like mine, you gotta have it.
hair.
You gotta have it showing.
Finally coiffed.
Yeah.
I love
Even
it.
with headphones, it looks good. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
I love it.
I got to give a shout out. This isn't a viewer email. This was and I always say viewer. 'Cause I guess now I can kind of.
You kind of can, yeah.
But listener deal. The guy called me that I know, Kendrick Brooks. Give him a shout out, and he called me. He says, Chad, he goes, I always listen to y'all's podcast when I work out and stuff. And he goes, last night I had one of my managers. We got into a big blow up fight. Like we were absolutely 100% not seeing eye to eye on anything. And, and by the time we went to bed and stuff, he goes, it was like bad.
Together?
Yeah, they were on the phone, and they were on the phone with each other and had big disagreements. He goes, none of us were seeing each other's side of anything, and he goes, and it was really bad, like it was not good. And he goes, the next morning I got to work out, and I was getting caught up on your show, and I heard the one about the prefrontal, the prefrontal cortex.
Frontal cortex.
And you're talking about taking the emotion out, and he goes, and it hit me. He goes, oh my God, that's exactly what we were doing. We were and he goes, I sent that to him, then I called, and I reflected on it, realized where I was wrong, called him, told him I apologized, and he goes, he told me, he realized his things, and he goes, we've moved on. He goes, that was one of those things. He goes, I've told my wife, my sister, all these people. He goes, because it makes so much sense now.
Remove the emotion,
when it
folks.
happens. And so I want to give him a shout out because I think that was awesome to know that, he obviously.
That's good feedback.
He thought that, he said it's changed it. It's helped him dramatically.
You got to remove the emotion. It's hard.
Yep. No, it's not. But once you do have the knowledge, it's easier.
Yeah, I wish I was drinking one of these right here. It's not Scotch, people. It's a Monster Energy drink. I'll hold it up for the camera if you're watching on YouTube. By the way, you can watch these episodes now on the YouTube.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. I enjoy it.
Yeah. The tube.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think
Shut up, Zach. Don't be negative.
No. I
You're
think
just so
remove the
handsome.
emotion,
You have to
man.
put the camera on
I think video killed the radio star. I truly believe that. But I also
he's
see
a
the value in
radio
doing
god.
YouTube. So what
like
can
it.
I say? Hey, this is my bread and butter
I'm with you.
podcasting. We got a listener email this week I want to talk about. It's about Heath Oakes.
Come on.
Our wonderful, the man, the myth, the legend. Here it is. I had to,
and so we take listener emails here, and so we need more. secondshotcast@gmail.com. Send us any questions or anything you've got.
All right, so here it is. I had the privilege of coaching Heath when he was a senior in high school. Senior coach. I've never seen someone so determined. Heath tore his shoulder about halfway through the football season, but he refused to quit. He kept pushing through and played the rest of the season. I remember seeing Heath come off the football field after the last game and he could barely lift up his arm. There's a little more to this, but real quick. Heath, is that true?
Oh, yeah. I tore it all, shattered it.
I'd never heard that story.
I wasn't that good. Like, I wasn't a very talented person. Like, I wanted to play extremely bad.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the God-given athlete. I was the slowest on the field. I mean, it was bad. Like
if I was your mother, I would be furious.
Yeah. Well, they didn't know exactly how bad it was because I knew I knew it was jacked up. So I knew if I went to the doctor that they would tell me I couldn't play. I mean, Coach Sibley and them, they pop it back in place 8, 9, 10 times a game.
A game. That's nuts.
No, that is not right.
Yeah.
We were a small school. We didn't have a whole lot of people to be playing. So I knew if I wasn't, then it would
It
hurt
doesn't
my other
matter.
teammates.
What's more important, your livelihood or your football game?
It was a blast.
The game. Listen, they don't mess around in Tyler, Texas between slapping the bag and football.
Yeah.
Slap in the bag, dude. That
I'm not gonna let
phrase
it go.
keeps coming
I know.
back.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that coming around. The rest of it, I've attached an article titled "Coaching Up a Storm" from the Dallas Morning News that ran back in November 2005. Article's an exclusive look into the athletic director, head football coach that I worked for and Heath played for at his school, his school district. The subtitle is "Head Coach Has Turned a Succession of Small Town Football Team into Winners, but at what cost?" I think there are lots of leadership lessons to be learned there, lessons on what not to do. Now, here's what's interesting. I missed the part that this was Heath's coach. I read the article. It's pretty fascinating. It's a look into a small town coach who really was doing some things to win. And I wanted to see Heath. This person was your coach. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the headline too, in general, which is what it takes. There's a lot of times that what are we giving up and at what cost that it can cost. I'll tell you, Coach Sibley was. At that time, we did not have great leadership at all there, and it was a struggle for a lot of people to go through. This guy had a really long track. I mean, obviously, in Carlisle, Texas, is where I went to school, at way out in the middle of nowhere. That the Dallas Morning Telegraph did a massive article on this guy. So obviously, there was a lot of years in many schools that had been under his reign that did not go well, and so they did a pretty big deal with it. There was only about 2 or 3 coaches even left to be there even that early in the football season. Coach Sibley was one that stayed, and I will say that he was one of the guys that had extremely strong integrity, character. He was a family guy, loved he was the epitome of what you would want your kids to be around him as your coach. Like if he was your kid's coach, you would want him to be around. He was an example. He was always doing it right. And I look back and I used to wonder why he stayed, why he didn't quit when everybody else quit, and he stayed there under that because this head coach belittled everybody in front of people. It was not a good situation. And I look back and believe, Coach Sibley stayed there because he knew if he was gone, that lied there for kids that we were wouldn't have anything positive to look at. And this coach was one of those that, he can't even coach in the state of Texas any longer. He's barred from that, and I'm pretty sure he can never get a job ever again. And as a kid, I look back and, having Coach Sibley there to being somebody that wasn't, such a high character guy and sticking it out through what he stuck it out. I didn't really think about it much till he sent that email. Did I reflect back on really how tough that was for him to probably be there and stick through that? And doing it for us. And so, I get huge shout out for him. And I look back and you look at the headline. He turned this other guy, this head coach. I'm not even going to say his name because I don't want to give him the notoriety at all. So this head coach had been to 17 different schools in 19 years. Wow. If that tells you anything about what it was. And when he left, they sued all of them and nobody could ever give bad recommendations. So our school was so down on our luck and wanted to win so bad. He at one point was Reebok Coach of the Year in the state of Texas, okay? And so wanted to win so bad, they overlooked all the red flags, even though because nobody could give a bad thing. But if you look at it, 17 schools, 19 years, they overlooked all red flags to win, and it ended up costing them a tremendous amount because he only lasted, I'm going to say, 18 months before he walked off our last high school football game, the last game of that, and now I've never seen him since or heard from him or anything.
Mysteries.
So thinking about that, how many times have you seen anybody and companies that want to win at all costs that they overlook all of the red flags because they say, I want to win?
Well, there's a few. There's Enron and
oh yeah.
there's historically speaking, there's been a couple of them.
And personally too, though, and this is something you probably have to battle, right? Like how much do you go for what you're going for, and at what point do you how can we put something in our brains to help us not cross the threshold that we end up giving up all of the things that are important, our wives, our kids, our personal relationships for one thing we're trying to succeed? And somebody like you being pulled in all the directions, I'm sure you have to have that mental battle at times to really think, where you're balancing that, but I don't know what that is.
Well, for me, first of all the things that come at me now at the age of 44, I could not have handled at the age of 24.
Yeah.
So maturity helps, a little bit of wisdom, and having failed and had some experiences that have helped and all that. But no, I could be much further along, quote unquote, in the eyes of the world's success with money and notoriety and things like that, if I were willing to sacrifice some morals and some values and some things. But I've learned that no, if it's not me, I gauge everything by peace. What's in my soul? If I have a bad feeling about it, there's like no peace about something, I'm out.
And don't you think everybody has that? I think when the people that
everybody should have that.
I think they lie if they say, "Oh, I didn't realize I was going off that bad." Yeah, you did. You knew something in your gut said.
Yeah.
This is getting to a point where, because I believe in winning, and I believe the quote that Vince Lombardi had, which is winning is not everything; it's the only thing. And he said at one time that he regrets saying it only because people took it out of context. Because what he meant was, winning is everything. Winning is not everything; it's the only thing. And what he said is, it's the only thing you should be shooting for.
Right.
He goes, when we come off the field, if we gave everything we had and we lost on that scoreboard, but I knew everybody gave all they had, we were still won. But we went out there to win. We didn't go out there to lose. So it's like playing to win versus saying that I'm going to give and shoot everybody on the way to the top. That's not what he's saying.
Right. And here's another thing to all those points, and this kind of wraps it back up when we were talking about in the other thing about judging people. Let's say I have no peace about a certain situation, but Kristen does have peace about, and she says, okay, yeah, I'm going to chase that. But I look at her and I'm like, Say I judge her because I'm thinking, no, she shouldn't do that. That's wrong.
Because that's not yours.
Well, it's not anything that's immoral or illegal or anything like that. I just didn't have a peace about it. But I don't have the right to judge her when she does have the peace about it.
Very
and
true.
so a lot of times people look at that and they say, oh, well, that person, how he got successful? Well, he didn't get successful by doing it. Anything wrong. It might have been wrong for you, and it violated your conscience, but it didn't violate theirs.
But that's why you're not doing it, and you're not them, so don't worry about it.
Exactly. So let it go. Let it go.
I have a feeling that song is going to be something in my life in a very short couple years. I've never even watched that.
Oh, no?
No. But I have a feeling with my daughter now that in a short amount of time that I'm going to be getting all of the, what's the princess name? What's her name?
So much to get caught up on.
The Let It Go girl.
Elsa. There you go.
Zach, out of everybody here at this table, Zach is the one who knew the princess.
I went to film school, all right? I'm a refined cinema.
Yeah, what color are your panties?
Thankfully, I have a boy. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Well, he may still like that show. Everybody loves that show.
He could like Frozen.
I don't know any kid who doesn't like that show. Boy, girl, whatever. Like Frozen was that thing that took everybody by storm. I wish I would have been in on making that film.
I watched it and cried. Shut up. Tighter my panties. All right, so we're going to get out of here. Heath, where can we find you, brother?
At Heath Oaks on Twitter, Ignorance on Fire. Google that, or at heathoaks.com. But also secondshotcast@gmail.com. Shoot us an email, any questions you may have. And hey, also, guys, remember, leave us a review. Share this podcast. If this helped you, share this on your social media. Share it with your friends. And we appreciate you.
And go to watchchad.com, see my schedule. Find me at an upcoming show. I'm going to be in Naples, Florida, Sarasota, Florida, Everett, Washington, San Antonio, Texas. I'm all over the place. Just come to a show. I'm right here in Fort Worth. Kristen's going to come to that.
Absolutely.
Her in the hubs.
Looking forward to it.
All right. We love you guys. Yeah, and thank you for tuning in. Send us some emails. Let's hear. And you know what? Just thank you for listening. We appreciate it. For another episode of Second Shot and Heath Oaks, we're out of here.
You're listening to RNCN, the digital destination for premium talk radio.